What's going on? It's Fist, bringing the news like I do. Here today talking about not Call of Duty Advanced Warfare news. Now, there was a report, I was like, whatever. It was a report that Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, not Call of Duty. First of all, let me point out why I say it's not Call of Duty. The definition of Call of Duty is a classic military first-person shooter game. So it's not Call of Duty. It's just going to call it Advanced Warfare from this point forward. Because that's what it is. It's a completely different game with the Call of Duty name thrown onto it. So, with that being said, that's one strike against it. Two, the report is that Call of Duty is going to be 3 million units less than Call of Duty Ghosts, the worst game that nobody is playing right now. Basically, Call of Duty Ghosts is a DLC to Modern Warfare 3. And nobody's playing it. Two, another reason why it's going to be less 3 million in sales to Call of Duty Ghosts is the fact that Xbox One is a terrible gaming system. Pretty simply put, I messed that up, but whatever. Simply put, let me just state it to you this way. Is that PSN is a bad network. So the casual gamer, the person that spends the money on the game, the person that spends the most money on an online game or a first-person shooter of the Call of Duty stature is caught in between PlayStation Network, which is terribly managed and not serviced, or an Xbox One that nobody likes to game on. A very spoiled community with no cohesiveness. Nobody sticks together. There's no community there. They hate on games really quick. If they don't like the game or it dies out, if there's something structurally wrong in the philosophy of the game, they're just done with it. That's how they are. So guess what happens to you if you're an Xbox One owner? You wind up playing nobody. That's the end of that. So there's a big dilemma here. Yeah, it's going to be 3 million units less because for a lot of reasons. And that's a couple of them that I just pointed out. But lastly, the most important reason of them all, and why the game is being quoted on New York, the Wall Street Journal online as to saying why it's 3 million less, is this. It's simply that is because here, Eric Heisberg, the CEO of Activision, Call of Duty, he has not had one game since he's been in command go positive. Every single IP that he's taken control of has gone down. Skylanders, down. Diablo, down. Activision, down. Call of Duty, down. The only thing, pay attention, the only thing that went positive is because it was new is Hearthstone. That's it. So everything that he's taken control of has been negative. And here's the reason and why Call of Duty and why it's going to be suspect and why their stocks are down at Activision is because they don't understand the social network. They don't understand their audience. They don't understand the gold mine that they have sitting in front of them. And they don't understand the community. And they don't understand what's going on with the consoles. So it's kind of like a perfect storm. One, Eric Heisberg assumes that everybody in the social network, meaning YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, who has a following, that they're legit. That all of their followings, or those people who are following them, are not botted or they earned on their own or through some. This was proven just a few days ago when this guy retweeted out a thing from Michael Condrey about the co-op, and he got 50,000 retweets, and then the guy did a video showing that there's no way in hell this guy could get 50,000 retweets. That it was all botted, and they flew this guy out. And it just goes to show you that is the mindset of people in a you're in an age group between 12 and 18 where kids want to be accepted so bad that that they could be anonymous and there's no recourse for them being completely liars and botting their views and putting extra whatever and cheating and scamming and to get where they're at. And CEOs of companies who follow this format that think that because they're a huge following and they have this network of people following that this is, I'm listening to these young kids and this is what they're saying and this is what the game should be and we should do this and this is what's happening. But instead, they're not even looking at the real numbers. 3 million units less than the worst Call of Duty ever. And you brought on a new studio. So what you're doing is not working. Obviously, the model in which you're following. And I'm going to point out an example. This is a prime example. Esports gaming for Call of Duty Sports. A lot of these guys who are in esports are all the guys that are following them. In the beginning, they're all botted views. If you look at their retweets, if you look at all their stuff, they don't have those. None of these people are active. These are views that are botted up because they have these fanatic followers who bought their subscribers, who bought their views. They even have corporations who pay for their views. Because they have an end game, and their end game is to push viewership, not sales. And that's what Activision should be pushing for, is sales of units. So you can see that Eric Heisberg's idea of following the social network trail to the golden nugget, to the following the social rainbow to the pot of gold is not working. Because it's not real. It's the total opposite. Is that the majority of people, if you take a classic way of thinking of things, if you go into a restaurant and the food is good, they'll come back. If the food is terrible, they just won't show up. That's the classic way of doing business. So when you make a great game and you pay attention to the community, not everybody is on the social network. Not everybody's on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. They just show up and play your game and have fun. If you're not making a product to where they can have fun and you're focusing and you got tunnel vision and you're focusing on a group that is being controlled by an entity that is a .tv, which their sole purpose is to get views, you're being lied to. You're being led right into a dead end. And so, inevitably, MLG killed Halo. And MLG inadvertently is going to kill Call of Duty. That's what it comes down to. If you look at it now, that's basically what's going to happen. You look at it, their end game is to control these kids, and who knows what goes on their Twitters, Facebooks, and all that. There's no revenue. There's not been one single documented time that during the $1 Million Championships, during the multiple tournaments that they've shown, that has created any interest or uptick in sales of units of Call of Duty. That's just giving you an example going back to the beginning of this topic. And that is that Eric Heisberg is following the wrong trail. He's following the social trail that is a lie. And it is the wrong format for a game that was already broken and not a game that was already fixed that just need to be improved on. Instead of being completely changed for somebody or a group of people which are being led by a .tv, and their end game is for views. It's not about you being units sold. And Activision and Eric Heisberg are being completely led. You know who runs Activision? It's not Eric Heisberg. It's not Activision and developers. It's the .tvs who run them. Do you really think, is it about views? I know you're not generating income from views because you're not getting the views. The views are botted. If anything, you're lying to the advertisers if you're getting paid from views. You're lying to the advertisers. They're straight lies. And you're just getting views, and and it's not translating to any new unit sales. It's terrible. Like, there's this huge lie at Activision. If you're a shareholder, listen to what I'm saying. They are literally throwing hundreds of millions of dollars and like buying back their game or buying back what they're doing just to show that they're breaking even on nothing. They're not making any sales. They're just, I don't know what they're doing. It's like junk bonds. I don't even know how to say it. And so, in order for this game, because listen, a military first-person shooter, a dumbass can make this game work. And the fact that, and it's not people that are tired of Call of Duty. It has nothing to do with people being tired with the game. If you take the game and you make a first-person shooter, a classic military shooter, if you follow the format of Minecraft, and the bottom line is if everybody, now when I say everybody can have fun. Everybody can pick up this game. There's no huge-ass curve that there's a group of people up here, aka Destiny, and then down here, there's a group of people that just are not, just gonna stop playing your game. So where's the growth at? Like, there's just totally, Eric Heisberger is completely clueless as to how he should be managing the assembly line of his IPs. Does not know what is going on. He is running straight to people that are supposedly socially relevant, which is a lie. They're botted. They're botted by people who have an end game behind them. .tvs, pushing their channels, promoting them, lying. That's it. And then it does. And even if they weren't lies, and even if they weren't botted, none of their views have turned into unit sales. None of them. Not one. You cannot find me one leak that corresponds with any tournament with any units being sold because of that. What you can find is that you're focusing on a very small group of players because you think social media is saying that's where you should be going. But instead, Wall Street says you're going to be 3 million units less than Call of Duty Ghosts, the worst game. So who's right and who's wrong? Obviously, your plan and your format is terrible, and you're going to pay dearly for it. And Call of Duty, when not Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, comes out. And because of Xbox is so terrible, and because the PlayStation Network is untrustworthy, you're in a bad spot. A very bad spot. All it's going to take is somebody to make a game with sense. It makes common sense. If any developer out there would make a game that is just normal, that everybody can have fun with, Call of Duty would never, it would die just like Halo died, period. And the only reason why Destiny's doing what it's doing, and you know this at Activision, is because they spent $750 million to make $350 million. Who can't do that? If I take $1 billion and I spend $750 million, you think I'm going to make... How is it not impossible to make $350 million and break even? At the end, if I'm just sitting there constantly putting it on TV and paying for every single YouTuber trips and all that, and everybody saying this game is so great, blah, 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 blah. When in all actuality, when you look at the game, you spent $750 million on marketing and advertising. It runs 30 frames per second, is garbage ex-Halo wannabe, terrible forced game on a community PlayStation, who is sacrilegious about their system. You took advantage of that situation to sell your game. It's terrible. It's completely terrible. Activision is in shambles. This stock is at $20.96. It's in for a rude awakening. It's in for a huge correction. I would say it's probably going to come down to like, back to where it was at, $10.96. They're spending so much money on trying to keep what little they have, and they're not listening to the people out there. If they would just listen to the people out there, they wouldn't have to spend $750 million on marketing and advertising. They got the money to make nice games, and they don't listen to nobody. They're no different now than EA. I think they're worse than EA. They're worse than EA. It's just a matter of time. Now they're gonna have the worst name and the worst games, and I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's looking very bad right now. It's unfortunate that the CEO he does not understand that the social network does not translate into unit sales, and that the people that he's being led by his nose, I mean, they just lead him like this. That those guys are being led by .tv, and their end game is for views. Now it's a different story. I guess if views is what you're counting on, and that's how you're generating income, great. If it's not on you, to excuse me for talking. End of the game. End of the story. That's it. Anyways, come over to Fist 2. I'm going to be talking about fantasy football. If you guys like fantasy football and you guys want to follow me over there and you want to listen to what I got to say, I got some important news about that. If you like fantasy sports, check me out on Fist 2. Links below in the description. I'll be talking about that next. Until next time, peace. I'm out.